Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I, Amna Jan Baroi, Vice Principal, the City Nursery Defence Campus,
and I, Ms. Bazena, Coordinator EYE, would like to welcome you all to the City School Early Years EDU NAR 2020 from the Department of Early Years Education, Southern Region.
We would like to thank you all for taking out time and joining us today. The purpose of this webinar, Awaken Yourself to the World of Change, is to get connected with our stakeholders, most importantly, our parental community.
Today, one of our speakers will talk about the rising concerns of teaching and learning during pandemic and the impact of parent-school partnership to overcome such challenges. Pre, during, and post-pandemic effects will be discussed in detail. Here, I would like to mention that our parents and students have been our strongest pillars of support during these trying times and have taken the charge of learning like never before.
Cannot agree more, Misbah. And we truly appreciate the efforts and regard, everything of our teachers and stakeholders because they have gone an extra mile to bring a shift from on-site to online learning within no time. Very well said by Mr. Barney S. Segal. Embrace each challenge in your life as an opportunity for self-transformation. Moreover, today's engaging sessions also focus on critical topics such as conscious parenting and how to deal with disruptive behavior. These sessions are presented by experts in the field of care and education and will offer new ideas and insight about conscious parenting and the role of parents in a child's life.
COVID-19 has turned the world upside down. Every aspect of our lives have been affected. How we live, how we interact with each other, how we work, how we communicate, how we move around, and how we travel. Decisions made now and in coming months will be some of the most important decisions made in generations. They will affect people all around the world for the years to come. Having said that, today's session will take us through all such details which will help us emerge together for a better future.
Definitely. During COVID-19, limiting the external outings, managing the social contact, laying back in our homes, and lockdown has affected our lives like no other. Not only general worries, but it has also affected our physical, mental, and emotional health, leading to stress and anxiety. The pandemic has affected people of all ages, but the young children have suffered the most as they are the ones who cannot explain their anxiety or frustration in words yet have been neglected at majority times.
The unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic is taking a toll over our overall health, well-being, with the same news going on all around all the time. We cannot deny the fact that we all feel drained and jittery. So here comes the role of our stakeholders, which includes our early years practitioners and parents. Parents play a pivotal role in shaping characters of children as they grow towards adulthood.
As a parent and an educationalist, I have witnessed that COVID-19 period has presented the opportunity for parents to be engaged in the lives of their children like never before. With schools closed, parents have had to take up the role of being both parent and a teacher. At this time, Most parents may have felt like their space has been raided by their children and must have struggled in trying to figure out how to balance between working from home and ensuring their children stay on track with their learning. We all have adapted to a new routine, and as crazy and hectic as it may seem, it is important that our children feel supported in their academics, as this is also a new adjustment for them. Just because they are young does not mean that their emotional, physical, and social demands or developments are any less important than anyone else. In fact, we all know that the early years of any child are the most vital years to lay a firm foundation for his entire life and therefore should not be neglected. So, moving on, Ms. Ba, would you like to take the audience through today's program sequence?
Without any further ado, most definitely, we will start our webinar with the name of Allah. Two of our adorable students will join us for Kirat and translation. It will be followed by a national anthem and the school song. Assistant Regional Director Early Years, Mrs. Amina Khan, will present a welcome note followed by three speakers, Gina Jones, Sarah Rogers, and Sari Saliba, who have been kind enough to take out time from their busy schedules to be with us. We also have few lively performances by our young learners to keep you entertained and a couple of messages from doctors and psychologists. So stay tuned to our sessions till the end.
Inshallah, it will be a captivating session for our audience. So let's begin with the name of Allah, followed by national anthem and school song.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد صدق الله العظيم. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Say, He is Allah the One, Allah the Absolute. He begets not, nor was He begotten, and there is nothing comparable to Him. Ameen.
May Allah bless our little angels, how we listen. So now, we would like to welcome Mrs. Amina Khan, Assistant Regional Director, Department of Early Education, Southern Region. Mrs. Khan has been associated with the field of education since 20 years and have worked in various capacities and leading positions at different campuses of the City School Network and schools in Florida, USA. Over to you, Mrs. Khan.
Thank you so much, Amna. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to the Early Years EDU NAR 2020. Awaken yourself to a world of change. This is an initiative by the Southern Region's Early Years Department of Education. I would like to thank our chairperson, Dr. Farzana, for her unmatched vision that has enabled us to commit to excellence, even in these trying times. My sincere gratitude to the COO, Southern Region, Rafi Zubairi, for helping us organize this event, and to our guest speakers, Sarah Rogers, Sari Saliba, and Gina Jones, for taking time out of their busy schedules to participate in today's event. I take great pride in being part of an evolving organization that welcomes change. The pandemic caught the whole world off guard and put immense pressure on the education sector that had to digitally transform itself in order to leave no child behind. The city school was proactive about how it would digitally optimize its operations. Without any fear of change, we adapted internationally recognized digital platforms. Within weeks, the metamorphosis of the city school began. Thus, the blended learning platform came into being. Teachers, staff, and students were all trained to adapt to the new online classroom environment and are now proud digital citizens. The city school's core values resonate in its resilient spirit and in the vision of its leaders that reassures us that we have a promising future. We are an official Microsoft school that enables us to use all cross platform applications seamlessly. Although teachers and students have a new skill set in hand, we still miss our little ones, their laughter in the corridors, their interesting anecdotes, and the sound of their little footsteps making a single file line for the morning assembly. We miss them run and catch each other and the pure joy on their faces when they see their friends and teachers. You will all agree that a virtual world cannot equate to the human element. We are proud to announce the reopening of schools following stringent SOPs to ensure the safety and well being of our students. We are also aware of the apprehensions parents may face sending their children to school. However, I must reiterate that we are doing our very best to ensure a wholesome and safe experience for our students at the school. The agenda will also address topics of concern returning to school. Man by nature is a social animal. Children cannot socially develop in a virtual setup, making returning to school imperative for their development. The student teacher relationship has differed online, and we strongly feel it's time to reunite what was meant to be a teacher, a student, and a classroom on site. I would like to conclude my address by stating that our journey through this pandemic has been a practical application of the city school's house mottos, which are: I am to persevere, I am to strive, I am to serve, I am to lead, and last but not the least, our school motto: I am to learn. The journey never stops. We are all excited to welcome our students back to school. I look forward to a wonderful year ahead. I would like to leave you with a quotation by my favorite physician and educator, Dr. Maria Montessori, who is best known for the philosophy of education. Quote, The greatest sign of success for a teacher is to be able to say, the children are now working as if I did not exist. End quote. Maria Montessori. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the Edunar, and over to you, Amna.
Such a wonderful quote to leave us with, Mrs. Khan. Thank you so much. Now, we have a special treat by our very talented rising star, Ali Wahidi. Enjoy.
सांस होता है स्कूल, रास होता है रास्ता, सांस होता है स्कूल, रास होता है रास्ता। चल मेरे संग जो रे, डिगी डिगी रम पम, डिगी डिगी रम पम, डिगी डिगी रम पम पम। सुनो बच्चों, उठाओ बस्ता, देखो स्कूल का है आगे रास्ता। सुनो बच्चों, उठाओ बस्ता, देखो स्कूल का है आगे रास्ता। चलता है और जो है बढ़ता, वही बच्चा तो है आगे बढ़ता। चलता है और जो है बढ़ता, वही बच्चा तो है आगे बढ़ता। चमक चमक के तारे, कैसा है तू प्यारे, दुनिया में तू चमके जैसे चमके तारे। डिगी डिगी रम पम, डिगी डिगी रम पम, डिगी डिगी रम पम पम। मैं पढ़ूंगा बनूंगा बड़ा आदमी, मैं लिखूंगा तो देखेगी दुनिया सभी। मेरे टीचर भी मुझसे तो खुश हैं बहुत, मेरी कॉपी भी देखो सितारों से भरी। किया है वादा ये मैंने सच्चा, बनूंगा लायक, बनूंगा अच्छा। सुनो बच्चों, उठाओ बस्ता, देखो स्कूल का है आगे रास्ता। चलता है और जो है बढ़ता, बच्चा तो है आगे बढ़ता। Build a home and furnish it with love. I would like to build a world, a home, and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white little doves. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white little doves. I would like to teach the world to sing in a perfect harmony. I would like to teach the world to sing in a perfect harmony. I would like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. I would like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. That's the song I hear, that's the song I hear, that's the world sing today, that's the world sing today. That's the song I hear, that's the song I hear, let the world sing today, let the world sing today. A song of peace that echoes on and never goes away. A song of peace that echoes on and never goes away. A song of peace that echoes on and never goes away.
Wow, what a mesmerizing performance, Ali. He is indeed our shining star.
Absolutely. Our first international speaker for today is Gina Jones. Gina Jones is a certified educationist in early childhood studies, having an experience of more than 12 years. She is currently associated with the Alpha School, serving there as head of primary, curriculum development, and pastoral care. She focuses over providing professional development to the whole school of assessments, curriculum development, and mentoring teachers. So let's welcome Tina Jones. Over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for asking me to speak at your event today. So again, a little bit about my background. So I am Gina Jones. I'm head of primary at the Alpha School in Dubai. I've lived and worked in the UAE for just over 2 years. Prior to working here, I worked across schools in Belgium and in the UK. Please let me begin this presentation by saying that I'm sure you will agree that these have been very testing times for education and life in general. The changes and adaptations that have been made across education worldwide have been made to protect our learning generation from early years all the way through to university level. Some changes and choices that we have made have been challenging in ways that we did not realise when initially making the decisions about how to best continue the education of our children in our care. And we are constantly updating our systems and procedures in line with new regulations in Dubai. Today, I would like to talk to you about these challenges and about how, with careful planning and forward-thinking strategies, we overcame them before lockdown, during lockdown, and after lockdown upon the school reopening 3 weeks ago. I will then end the presentation with information about how the Alpha School looks today as we enter our new phase of learning. There are 3 points of view that I will discuss. The point of view from the children, the parents, and also from the teachers. So first, to our children, the important people in our lives. So before lockdown, we had to make sure we had a calm, nurturing environment as it would be every day. But we started to put safety measures into place very quickly. For example, no handshaking, extra hand washing and sanitizing. Our spring break holiday was brought earlier, so the children were sent home 1 week before they should have been. The teachers were able to prepare a 3-week homework pack that was sent home. This was to continue the learning and the curriculum that we were following. During lockdown, we had to make sure the children were given a balanced curriculum with screen time and off-screen time. We sent home pre-recorded lessons to the children, and this transitioned into live lessons as we moved on through the lockdown. Weekly wellbeing sessions were presented by our special educational needs coordinator, and our schedules were constantly reviewed to ensure the children were receiving the balanced curriculum and screen time. We had a daily wellbeing meeting for the children. This was one of our priorities. The meeting was where the children were encouraged to come online on a Zoom call with the teacher, with the head of the key stage or the principal, to talk about how they were feeling, and they were able to share news that they had. We really tried hard to maintain the social aspect of the classroom. And we believe that these meetings were invaluable for both the teachers and the children. Now, post-lockdown, we opened our school 3 weeks ago. The management team were in school a week before to make sure all decisions were put into place within the guidelines of Dubai. We're happy to say that approximately 3/4 of our admissions returned to school for face-to-face learning. We have seen an increase over the last 3 weeks of the other children, the other quarter children, who are slowly but surely returning. We understand completely that some children will continue their learning online due to health reasons and health reasons of people living with them. But we're very happy that the increase is occurring and the children are returning to school. We had constant communication with parents throughout this process. Okay. So, the parents. There was a lot of media coverage, we understand, for the parents, seeing on a daily basis from their home countries, from Dubai. They were seeing lots and lots of information being shared. We knew at this point that we had to address this with the parents very, very quickly. We were in constant communication and always making sure that the parents had up-to-date information from school, from the Dubai Health Authority. When initially the lockdown was announced, we continued this communication with the parents and believe this was key to empowering the parents to support their children in the transition of what was about to happen. I'm sure you will agree, we were not all expecting such a big lockdown and for everything else that has followed. Now, during lockdown, when it was officially announced, we gave the parents as much support as we did with the children. We filmed and sent home instructional videos about how to use the learning platform that we use in our school. For example, showing them how to upload work and to view videos from the teachers. Weekly communications from senior leadership and class teachers also kept the parents informed. Key points and issues raised by parents were acknowledged and dealt with accordingly. For example, we know the younger years, the parents needed to have live lessons because they may have been at work whilst the school day was taking place. We had to think about the flexibility of how we marked our attendance. So the attendance was how we would normally mark it, changed a lot. So we believe that we listened very carefully to the parents' concerns and acted as necessary. So our younger learners obviously needed more support at home, and we allowed and expected that the work would be completed later on in the day. The well-being of the children was obviously very, very much important in our minds. Now, for the parents post-lockdown, we clearly understand that this is a very anxious time for parents. I am a parent myself and understand how it feels. We see that we need to build trust with our parents, and we are happy to say that we have more and more children returning from e-learning to face-to-face each week. We firmly believe that the measures we have put in place in our school have given the parents the firm understanding that we have the health and safety of everyone, and that's the children, the parents, the admin staff, everyone in the forefront of our minds every time we open the school gates each morning. Parents can also make an informed choice to keep their children at home for e-learning if necessary, whether it be for health reasons or even if the child is tired. We allow these children to learn online, but also encourage the parents to allow them to rest if they are truly unwell. There are procedures in place for children to return to school with a health certificate from their doctor. Now, for the teachers, before lockdown, we had many regular meetings to ensure, just like the parents, that the staff were all kept up to date. It was a big learning experience for the majority of our teachers. During lockdown, our main aim as a management team was to support and guide them through the e-learning process. Initial training for pre-recording videos, using Zoom, continuing to deliver the curriculum was a priority. Online safety was also delivered to staff. We continued our weekly staff meetings with new updates as they were being announced. Well-being for teachers was also a focus, as lots of our teachers live away from home and from family, and a support network was put into place for the teachers as well. A major collaboration between different departments in the school to ensure a balanced timetable was addressed quite quickly. Children were continually assessed to check the progress and attainment. Our e-learning inspection was a very positive experience and we achieved the highest grade possible. This, I believe, was due to the collaboration between all, that's the staff, the parents and the children. Now, as you can understand, social distancing is now the new normal. So for all the children, teachers and staff in our school, we adopt a social distancing approach. All of our daily meetings for staff remain on Zoom. Some of our larger cohorts have 2 or 3 stable groups. You may also know them as being called bubbles. And the teachers also have online learners in all of their lessons throughout the day. All staff have had to adapt to the comprehensive use of technology that takes place every day. And we have weekly safety inspections from the KHDA, the Dubai Health Authority and the Dubai Municipality to ensure we are in compliance. Now, how does Alpha School look today? I smile when I say this because I am so happy to see children walk through the gate each morning with a smile. I can't see their smile because most children have to wear a mask, but I tell the children, I can see you're smiling in your eyes. So this is how it looks now. Our classes are split into stable groups of 12 and 10, depending on their age. In the early years, they are in stable groups of 10, and in the older years in primary, in stable groups of 12. We have adopted a 1.5 metre distancing within the tables and chairs in the classroom and a 2 metre distancing within the corridors. All of our children over the age of 6 have to wear a mask. All of our staff wear a mask too. Some staff choose to wear the shield as well. Now, our main priority is to maintain the stable groups with the least cross-contamination as possible. The children have continued to use our e-learning platform, Seesaw. All of our children have access to an iPad in school. So we ask them, just like they did in their e-learning at home before the summer, that they photograph their work and upload it onto our platform after each lesson. Then the teacher can access the work and mark and provide feedback. This, I believe, is working well due to the children understanding and using this procedure for the entire e-learning time. Our biggest year group is Year 1. We have 5 stable groups. These groups have 2 teachers and 3 teaching assistants. We have to make sure that the teacher understands to spend time equally with their stable groups. Each class also has face-to-face and online learners, but as I have said a few times, our online learners are decreasing and our face-to-face learners are increasing. So, as the children arrive at school, they are temperature checked twice before they are admitted. This could be either at the gate, if they are dropped off, or when they arrive on the bus. When they enter the building, we also have a thermal scanner. The children all leave their school bags in a designated area and follow a one-way system to enter our school. The bags are all sanitised before being delivered to the children outside the classroom. We have adopted a blended learning approach. Our core subjects are taught in school. Art, PE and music are sent via our learning platform, Seesaw. We understand that the children are in one classroom for the whole day and have developed a healthy walk system in each class each day. This is staggered across the day to avoid children meeting in the corridors. So, overall, I believe that this worldwide pandemic has been a test to how we teach today, and it has also shaped how teaching and education will look in the future. Thank you for taking time to listen, and I'm very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Gina, for joining us from Dubai and sharing your valuable insight. We have one question, which is how to help students manage back to school
Now,
anxiety.
we found that the children are less anxious than the parents. The children are running in through the gates each morning. The only thing that I have seen personally throughout my school is children, the moment that they might cough or sneeze or feel a little bit of illness, that they're scared. They're scared quite quickly. I mean, we're very lucky. We have a school nurse, so we have a nanny or a teaching assistant to take them straight to the nurse, and it's dealt with very quickly.
Thank you once again. We wish you a great and safe new academic year with a lot of prayers.
Thank you, Tina. Let's watch a brief message from our adorable students.
Hello, young citizens. I'm super excited to go back to school. I can't wait to meet my friends. I'm so excited. Hey, school, here I come. Hey, schools are opening. I'm excited. Are you? I am coming back to school. Can't wait to see my new teachers and friends. Can't wait to go to school. I'm so excited. Hey, I'm excited to meet my new teachers and class fellows.
Oh, these messages are so sweet. Thank you so much, sweethearts. So let's move on to our next speaker who will talk about conscious parenting. Mispa, do you sometimes feel guilty of not being a parent you wish to be?
Absolutely. I feel so guilty of not being there with my children in person at times. But yes, I'm so looking forward to the next guest speaker.
Yes, same here. So, ladies and gentlemen, conscious parenting is not about being a perfect parent. It's about being aware of what your children need from you to reach their full potential. For a detailed discussion on this sensitive topic, we have on board Sarah Rogers, an expert in early years from UK. She is an educationalist with a passion for lifelong learning. She's originally from UK, qualified and taught there, but living and working in UAE for 26 years. She's a founder, owner, and COO of educational training company based in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. She has been honored to be named as one of the most influential educators in the UAE by Which School Advisor Dubai. Sarah, the floor is yours.
Thank you very, very much. It's lovely to be with you all today. So thank you very much for inviting me. And I've listened with great joy to the previous speaker, Gina. I am just a little bit of background. I'm actually talking to you today from the UK, but as you said, I'm usually based in Dubai. So I've been living out in Dubai for 26 years. And I've had the pleasure to meet with many, many different educators during that time. So I've had the pleasure to go into Alpha School and work with them a few years ago, but also had the great pleasure last year of coming over to Lahore to see you over there. So I'd love to thank Dr. Fazana as well today for setting all this up and being such an inspirational person. So today I'm going to talk to you about conscious parenting. I'm going to talk to you about establishing routines to empower children. We're going to talk about routines that support positive behaviour as well, and how to help children decision making. And I'll pick up on what Gina said as well, and what the question was at the end for her about anxieties for children, because they all really go together. So I'd like to start off by reading you a quote from one of my favourite books about why it's called Why Love Matters. So it says, the kind of parenting we get as babies makes a big difference to the brain we develop. If we are nurtured lovingly, we thrive emotionally. And that was from a lady called Sue Gerhardt, Why Love Matters, a book from 2004. So today I'm going to talk to you about conscious parenting. And as we've been hearing from our previous speakers and from the moderators, everything has been changing recently. It has been a time of unprecedented change, both adults and children, and we've all felt the anxieties, we've all felt how different it's been, how life has been. but it's also had some positive things as well. So for me, one of the positive things has been over the summer has been working online with a lot of educators from the city schools. So that's been lovely, and I've had the chance to hear about what you're doing, what's happening to you all, and to share that as well. So lots of things have changed for children, but lots of things stay the same. So conscious parenting, what does that mean? And to me, conscious parenting is about understanding what children need, what young children need. There's very much understanding about how young children learn, how they develop, and how they're different at each stage. And it's very important for parents and teachers to remember, we keep talking about this, but that every child really is unique. They're different to their siblings. They're different to their older brothers and sisters. They're different to the children in class. And they're certainly different to the cohort last year. And as we come back into school this year, we will certainly see big differences in how they behave. Some things also stay the same. So what stays the same is the way that they develop and the support they need. So I'd like to start off by talking to you about conscious parenting and talk about brain development. So we know that children's brains are relatively small when they are born. Babies' brains are small when they're born. And as they grow, their brains develop depending on the stimulation that they get and the context they find themselves in. And we've just talked and just had a quote about how the brain development is so important, that nurturing brain development, that emotional warm care is so important for children to develop properly. So those things don't change. Children are going to be carrying on developing, and we've just said as well that children are very resilient, but they're only resilient when they get the right support. So I think at the moment it's even more important for parents and teachers to remember that children's brains are developing, and that to support that brain development, we need to make sure they're emotionally safe and secure. So there are three parts to our brains, and many of you will remember this, that reptilian and mammalian brains, those parts of the brains, the more primitive parts of the brains that actually control our breathing and our emotions. And only when those are under control can we access the higher cortex of our brain, and that's about the learning part of it. So it's really, really important that we understand that young children's brains are developing and they need our support. And if they're going to access that higher cortex, that place where they can learn, then we've got to make sure that we help them with their emotions. So for me, conscious parenting, and when I'm talking about parenting, it's what teachers do in school as well, because they are very much in place of the parents at school. So we're talking about conscious parenting. It's being aware of how children are feeling. And as we come back, as we welcome children back into school, and I'm so glad that children are coming back into school, that's where children need to be. They need to interact. They need to socially interact with their peers, with the adults around them. I'm hoping, I know that we've got social distancing, but I'm hoping that in the months to come, we will find a way to get over that, because children need to be close to each other. They need to be close to the adults around them. So as they come back into school, both parents and teachers will need to understand how children are feeling. Gina talked a little bit just about anxieties there, and she talked about parents' anxieties, and children will very, very much pick up on the anxieties of the adults around them. We've got to be very, very aware that just as children are feeling anxious and parents are feeling anxious, we're all going to be anxious together. So we've got to acknowledge those feelings. So we won't be at all surprised if children that are coming into school will actually regress a little bit. So I was back in Dubai the last few weeks, and I was talking to lots of friends and lots of nursery owners with young children. And I feel a lot of the children have actually become institutionalized. So by that, I mean that they have got used to being at home. They've got used to being with their parents. And yes, as Amna said, it's a wonderful thing that children have had more time at home with their parents, have had more time at home with their children. But it also means that they have become so attached and so used to them being around that maybe the children who came into school quite happily before now will feel a lot more anxious coming into school. So that conscious parenting has got to prepare the children for school. So just don't assume that because they were happy in school before that they're going to leave their parents when they're dropped off at school and happier now. And of course, school is going to look different to children. So if children have already been in school for a while, and we heard just a few minutes ago from those children who are so looking forward to going back to school, it will still be different. And that may cause anxieties as well in the children during the school day. So how can parents help that? How can they consciously support their children going back into school? So routines are very, very important for children. Routines make children feel safe and secure, and children benefit from routines. So when a child is feeling safe and secure, then we know that reptilian brain, that mammalian brain, they are secure as well, and the children are ready to learn. They're calm, ready to learn. So prepare the children by talking about going back to school, by talking about how it's going to be different, but talk about all the things that are going to be the same as well. So talk about the great things they're going to do, like they're going to, like they just said, like going to see all their friends, they're going to meet their teachers, they're going to have a chance to play and interact again. But parents need to be very aware that children will have more anxieties they had before, so they've got to give them time. So we need to give children time to adapt and time to get ready to go back into school. And don't be at all surprised if a child who is really quite happy to go back to school in the first few days then becomes anxious a bit later on, because the world is a different place and they are being taught in different ways now, whether they're being kept in bubbles, whether they're not going out to playtime at the same time or not accessing the same areas of school, whether they're walking down corridors and being told not to interact like they normally would. All these things are going to cause anxiety. So it's all about feelings. So what we want to do is make sure that we are very calm. So parents need to be very calm. Parents need to be very understanding and to give children time to adapt. So before they go back into school, be talking about what they're going to expect, as I just said, but also prepare them by getting things ready, like their school bags ready, like their school uniforms ready. So make sure that the familiar things in the mornings are ready, that morning routines are safe and secure. And it's very, very easy for an adult to underestimate what little changes in routines can do to a child, how they can affect a child. So an example of this might be the child who usually has the same breakfast cereal every morning and maybe their favourite plate or their favourite bowl. Suddenly that bowl is not available because it's in the dishwasher or for some reason. And that can throw a child. So something when they're expecting something to happen and it doesn't happen, you and I as adults know that that's fine, that tomorrow that bowl will be back or tomorrow we can do this. It doesn't matter. But for a young child, it can be as easy as that to upset them in the morning. So if you do find that the children are getting more upset, maybe they're just getting more anxious about going out and about, maybe they're getting more anxious because their parents have told them, as Gina just mentioned, their parents have told them, you know, if you have coughs and sneezes, that's going to possibly be a sign of that you're being unwell. That parents do react to children in a very, very calm way, and obviously teachers do as well. So establish those routines, but also give them a chance. Acknowledge how they're feeling. So say, I know you're feeling anxious or you're feeling worried about going back to school, but when you get there, this is what was going to happen. So children need that preparation and they need that time as well to make sure that they are fully prepared. And part of giving them some control over their life, because this is what we're trying to do. As adults, we've all had so much control taken away from our lives. And I know that we all feel anxious, and that's happened to children too. So we need to give them some control over their lives. So in order for them to control their behavior, in order for them to control a little bit of their life that's going on around them, we also need to empower children by giving them choices where we can do. So it may not be a choice of what time you have to get in the car to go to school, but it might be something as simple as saying, in the car, you can read this book or you can read this book on the way to school. Because children will find that a lot of their choices have been taken away from them. Again, when they come into school, they don't have the choice of going maybe to certain play areas, as I've just said. I'm not sure if you're all wearing masks at school. We certainly are in Dubai, and we certainly are in the UK in secondary schools, not so much in primary schools. But again, the children won't have choices about things like that. So we need to give them choices where they can. So as parents and as teachers, we need to consider the choices during the school day, before and after the school day as well at home, that will allow the children to feel some control over what they are doing. And again, be aware that within that, the children might feel swamped. So not too much choice. All the things I'm talking to you about today obviously have to be age appropriate. So for the younger children, we'd only give maybe 2 choices. And for the older children, we may be able to give a few more choices like that. And if a child is really struggling to get back into school, you need to support them by giving them those choices like, okay, on the way to school, we can do this or we can do that. Or when you get home from school, we can have a choice of this or a choice of that. So those choices will help children realize they still do have some control over school, and this will help them regulate their behavior. But what we need to do very, very carefully is understand that when children are misbehaving, and they may well misbehave more than they did before, they are doing that not to be naughty. They are doing that as a reaction of the world around them, or to the world around them, and saying that they feel fear or they feel worried. But children are not going to be able to put those feelings into words so easily, especially our younger children. So both parents and teachers need to help children name those feelings. And as I said earlier on, they need to stay calm. So when a child is feeling upset, what will happen in their brain is that their brain will be flooded with a hormone called cortisol. Now, a little bit of cortisol is good for you. It gets you excited, it gets you ready for learning, gets you ready to anticipate things. But too much cortisol floods the brain. And when that happens, a child will not be able to access their higher cortex. They will go back to their mammalian brain, which controls their emotion. But it stops them thinking carefully. So as parents and teachers, we've got to understand that this isn't a time to have a logical conversation with a child. This is a time to comfort them and to calm them down, make sure that they feel safe and secure. So rather than insisting that the child, for instance, uses their words, often I hear teachers and parents as well, when the child is getting upset and crying or not being able to talk to the adults, the parent or the adult says, use your words, tell me what's the matter, tell me. And the child can't articulate it because that part of their brain has kind of closed down, the emotions are taking over. So to ask a child to rationally explain to you why they're feeling upset is not any good at that time. So at that time, we do just need to stop and slow down and use our calmest voices and distract children. And then think about talking to them when they're calmer later on. So for a parent, to enable a parent to do that, they've got to make sure they have time. So don't rush through things in the morning. Make sure you've got plenty of time. Be prepared in case they do get upset. Be prepared that even if they get into the car, fine, or if they're walking to school, fine, that when they get to school, they may have more difficulty actually going into school. Now, I don't know if you're allowing parents in. I don't know if you're allowed to have parents in comforting children, settling them in, which we would normally all do. But certainly in Dubai, we're having great difficulties with that we're expecting parents to leave their children at the school gate. And that's going to be very difficult for children. So that's going to be different for them as well. So give yourselves time to acknowledge how the children are feeling, spend time calming them down, and don't rush them. And as Gina talked about when she was saying how many children are in her school at the moment, more children will be coming back in gradually. And I'm sure that we'll see that in all of the city schools as well, that some parents will be anxious, first of all, and they'll wait and see how things go before their children come back. But we do know it's really, really good for children to be back. So this is what we're really trying to encourage. So that conscious parenting, just to give us an overview of what we're thinking about, that conscious parenting then is really about understanding how children feel, understanding about what's right for them. It's about understanding their feelings at the moment. And if we as adults feel upset and worried, imagine what the children are feeling as well. It's about naming those feelings for the children and acknowledging them. And it's about giving them time and supporting them and staying calm. And if your child seems to have regressed a little bit, like I said before, they were happy to come into school and now they're not, or they regress even over the coming weeks, don't be surprised. Just give them time, because we have to remember, if children don't feel safe and secure, if they are not ready to sit down, they're not going to learn. And we can't force them to learn unless they are happy. Happy children will be able to learn. They'll be able to access the learning. So keep those routines up. things like bedtime, sleep as well. Children may be struggling at the moment because maybe they're out of their sleeping routine. So certainly now is the time to make sure children get enough sleep too. That makes a big difference. Nutrition is really, really important to them as well. So all of those things, we know that physical and mental well-being are very, very important. So for me, conscious parenting just finishes by saying just what we've already heard this morning. There is no such thing as a perfect parent. We all make mistakes. So being kind to yourself as parents is very important. Certainly being kind to your children and giving them time, but giving yourself time as well. So as we start the new term, as children come back, I really, really hope, and I'm sure we will see, the children will be delighted to be back. They'll be so happy to come back. And I think that we'll all be surprised at how well they settle if they have the support of everybody. So thank you very, very much for listening. That's gone so fast. I could talk to you about so much more. But I'm very, very happy to take questions. But thank you again for your time today.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Very, very well said. I must say, do not rush. Stay cool and calm. And I think it's time to model the values that you talk about all the time. And this was the crust of your message. And you have gone in such detail. I don't see any questions. But yes, the key is what I've just said. So thank you once again for being with us. We both, Misbah and I, take great pride in saying that like many other earlier school leaders of the city school, we are trained by you and your team of Quest specialists. Thank you so much for all these wonderful sessions. We hope to stay in touch.
Thank you very, very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Moving on, one of our parents, Zora Umar, has shared her expert views with us. Zora is an inventive thinker, a passionate trainer, and a mentor. She has been a part of academic and corporate industry for more than 19 years, nationally and internationally. Her focus is to work towards breaking the stereotypes that surround mentoring and training in Pakistan. Her mantra is to mentor people for life and not just success.
Hello and assalamu alaikum. This is Zora Umar. I'm the founder of Mentoring Hub and also the founder of the International Mindful Satori Network. Having being the top person ambassador for Pakistan, representing Pakistan, especially amongst the mindful international community, gives me immense pleasure to be called upon to become a part of the Eduthon movement that the City School has set forth. Now, more than ever, amidst this COVID chaos, we've seen so many things go downhill. At the same time, you would agree, I'm sure, that our youth has been the community that has been most significantly hit, not just with the fact that we'd had facilities closed down or schools closed down, but more so emotionally and within their hearts. So it is most important at this point in time that we all give ourselves the chance to self-actualize, take a pause, reflect, and self-actualize the fact that this new normal amidst the COVID chaos is here to stay for a little bit. Now that it's here, we need to make sure we equip our children with the right toolkits to not just survive, but thrive in the new normal. So, and here's one more little thing for the parents who are also apprehensive and also fearful of sending their children back to schools. We need to make sure, my dears, that we're letting our children seep in to this new normal so that they adapt to this new normal. And that's going to come only when we are resilient enough to have them feel fearless, right? So now's the time. Let's discuss, let's engage in a discussion which is positive and that sets us together on the same platform of this paradigm where we're able to adapt to the new normal together. We're in this together, and let's hope we thrive together with our children. Best of luck.
What an enlightening message. Shehzad Roy, a well-known singer, founder of Zindagi Trust, and a social activist, has shared his message with the teachers and parents. So let's hear from him.
I would like to thank Amna Khan for giving me this opportunity so I can speak to all the children and their parents. I heard that आप लोग का स्कूल खुल रहा है और obviously सारे स्कूल खुल रहे हैं. अंदर एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट बात ये है कि जो फैमिलीज जो बच्चे देख चुके हैं इस ट्रॉमा से गुजरी फैमिली में लोगों को कोरोना हुआ, आई होप सब सेफ होंगे, सब ठीक होंगे, हेल्दी होंगे. स्कूल खुल रहे हैं तो एक पूरा पैराडाइम हो गया हुआ है हमारी जिंदगियां गुजारने का. माँ बाप से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो जरूर स्कूल देखें कि उनकी एसओपीज कैसे हैं, और ज़्यादातर स्कूल्स कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि वो अपनी पूरी कोशिश करें उन एसओपीज इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए. बच्चों से मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है ऑब्वियसली जो 9th-10th के हैं, 6 से ऊपर ग्रेड्स के हैं, वो कोशिश करें कि अपने टीचर्स की बात मानें क्योंकि वो अब उनकी हेल्थ के लिए ही वो ये सब कुछ कर रहे हैं. मैं क्योंकि बहुत करीब से इस पूरे से गुजरा हूँ, मैं गवर्नमेंट का पार्ट भी रहा था इस कोरोना की जो कमेटी थी उसके अंदर, और बहुत करीब और बहुत सारी चीज़ थ्रू करने को मिली. हमारे गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स खुले हैं, उसके अंदर हम देख रहे हैं किस तरीके से बच्चे आ रहे हैं और कितने खुश हैं, और वो एसओपीज इम्प्लीमेंट करने में हम चाहते हैं कि हम सब लीडर्स हों इसके अंदर, और एक डेट शुरू हो कि जहाँ पर क्योंकि जिंदगियाँ चेंज हुई है तो अब वो उसको रेगुलेट करना बहुत जरूरी है. तो मैं ये रिक्वेस्ट है माँ बाप से कि अपने बच्चों को स्कूल जरूर भेजें, लेकिन वो जरूर चेक करें जाकर कि क्या एसओपीज ठीक इम्प्लीमेंट हो रही हैं, नहीं हो रही हैं. अगर अभी भी वो अनकंफर्टेबल हैं तो बहुत स्कूल्स भी ऑनलाइन चल रहे हैं. बड़ी मेरी गुजारिश है स्टेट से भी कि वो एसओपी इम्प्लीमेंट कराएं ताकि जो एक सोशल इंटरेक्शन है बच्चों का वो बहुत ज़रूरी होता है, पढ़ाई से भी ज़रूरी होता है समझता हूँ. तो सोशल इंटरेक्शन बहुत ज़रूरी है बच्चों का स्कूल जाना. सो ऑनलाइन सब्स्टिट्यूट जरूर कर सकता है, बट ये ऑल्टरनेट नहीं है स्कूल का कभी. थैंक यू.
Thank you, Shazam. Now let's watch a short video by our sweet angel, Zoya Kashif, and enjoy her expressions. I simply adore you. We cannot wait to have you back in school or anything else. Now, please request Charlie Silva, the education that the lady needs.
She's mastered social services, a qualified vocational teacher, and an experienced early years trainer. As the story said earlier, she was a child learner best when providing social and emotional security in a nurturing environment. Please welcome Charlie. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Um, so my name is Sari Saliba. I'm the head of education of Babilu Middle East here in Dubai. I'm originally from Finland, and that is why I have a little bit of thick accent. So I hope you all understand what I'm saying. So my topic is physical, social, and emotional impact of a lockdown and how to go back to new normal. This is slightly interlinking with Sarah's talk about conscious parenting, because the parents are the ones who are supporting the early years and the children going back to nurseries. So my focus area is more on the smaller children, up to 3 to 4 years old. And as we all know, the government globally reacted very quickly to COVID-19 situation, and almost overnight, the countries were shut down. And schools, nurseries were closed, and people working from homes. This situation put all of us in a very stressful situation, and not to mention the little ones from the nurseries who are not even able to express themselves verbally yet, not to mention that they wouldn't understand really what's going on. So what were the impacts of the lockdown? First and foremost, the impact of a lockdown was the lack of social interaction, as we've been mentioned before. The children were used to go regularly to the nurseries or regularly to the parks to meet their friends and see and interact with their friends. Now, all of a sudden, their friends disappeared. All of a sudden, you don't have and you don't see your friends or your relatives, or you're not able to travel overseas to see your grandparents and so on and so forth. So this huge impact on the social interaction is crucial. So what is social interaction in terms of small children? First of all, in a nurseries, the babies, the children, they learn social rules, such as sharing, waiting for their turns, discussing, interacting socially, playing together, or even side by side when we are talking about small children. They are also learning about the group dynamics, such as leadership skills, empathy, and mediator skills. And all these were all of a sudden taken away from them. The other impact of a lockdown is a physical impact of the physical development. So being inside the house, maybe even in a buildings, not villas, the child most probably had lesser possibilities for physical activities. The impact has on the child's cross-motor skills and cross-motor development is big, because child needs to be able to run, climb, balance, throw, and this is mainly done outdoors. It is almost impossible to do that indoors. So the impact on a physical development is based on the motor skills and their practices. Also, the impact of a fine motor skills, which are crucial for learning how to hold a pen and how to write later in the years when they go to school. In nurseries, the children are given chances to practice the fine motor skills. At homes, it might not be that easy if you don't have the resources, or if you are not finding activities which you can do at homes. It is very important to have activities such as threading, lacing, picking things with their fingers, and it is for the parents' job to do this if you are not in the nursery setting. Another impact of a lockdown is definitely the emotional distress. Like I said, that the friends disappeared all of a sudden. Overnight, the child doesn't see the familiar faces of adults in the nurseries or the familiar faces of their friends. This has a huge impact on emotional distress. Another thing is the change of a daily routine. Like Sarah was saying, that any child, even up to 20 years old, will need a daily routine. It is more important when we are talking about children from 0 to 4 years old. With routine, they feel the security, and with the routine, the child feels safe. Now, having that routine back home, it changes. And of course, also we have to remember that the parents most likely were working at homes at the same time. So the anxiety level on the parents and on the children is probably fairly high. So now the impact of lockdown for the emotional distress is, as well, is that the parents, their emotions and their anxiety is reflecting to the small children. So how can we support our children to go back to the new normal? As mentioned, the importance is to maintaining the stability and feel of security. Being aware of adults' own emotions and the reflection to the child, the nonverbal communication. This is probably the most important part of how to maintain the stability of the child. Routines, as Sarah was saying earlier, and then social interaction with important adults and children. So our emotions reflect to our children. This is a fact. And that's why the, let's say, adult conversations, when we are worried about our work, probably even worried about our income, probably worried about our families and friends' approach, we have to make sure that the conversations are not in front of the children who don't yet understand. With the older children, it's fine because we can explain what's going on and why I'm worried. But with the younger children, they are actually only reflecting our facial gestures and our facial impressions rather than understanding what we are talking about. We need to explain to the children as much as we can. And like Sarah was saying about that, explain to children why this is happening. With the younger children, with below 4 years old, you can try to verbalize your own emotions by saying, for example, that mommy is sad because I'm not able to go to work. I'm sad because I cannot see my mother, and so on and so forth. But it's very important also to verbalize the child's own feelings. Ask how the child is feeling, or say, I can see that you are sad, but let me know why. Or with the younger children, the ones who don't speak yet, try to play. Try to set up, for example, a house where you have your mommy and daddy and the child, and ask the child to play and see what are her emotions through the play. Is there a lot of crying in that play? Is there a lot of argument in that play? How the child sees her parents at this moment when you are in a lockdown. Active listening. You need to spot any feeling that your child shows or says. Focus on processing what was said rather than what you think was said. Your own views and opinions interrupts active listening. So we as parents, we have an image of our child and we know our children very well, but we might sometimes interpret their emotions wrong. So we need to also make sure that we actually actively listen what the child is saying and not interpret what we think that they are saying. Maintaining the routines. So even at homes, and now I'm talking about children who are not used to go to school, but they used to go to nurseries, and nursery setup is pretty close to homes as such. So it is very important that at homes we maintain the same routines as they would have in the nursery. or similar, because I know that in nurseries we do cooperate with parents with their routines so that we have a similar routine set. So we will have meal times, waking up times, we have nap times, we have the routines of physical activities, and we have a routine of play. And I would emphasize once more that the physical development is something that we need to focus already when you are in a lockdown. So try to maintain the physical activities indoors, or if you have a garden, as much as possible. You can find a lot of activities online, what can be done, for example, inside your own house. Play is important. Let the children play as much as possible. Play with them. I know that most of the parents are working from homes, but playing with your child even 10 to 30 minutes is very crucial for them to understand that you are there together and you are there to support your child. During the lockdown is also, luckily, we have the internet. Luckily, we have means of communication, even if we are not able to see face to face. Like today, we have a webinar. Maintain the social interaction as much as possible. Have virtual meetings with grandparents or relatives. Have virtual meetings with teachers and classmates. Some nurseries are offering e-learning platforms. The schools were definitely offering the e-learning platforms. Send positive messages from your child to the grandparents, and ask them to also send some maybe voice messages for your children as well. It is really important when we are going back to the new normal, that even with the little ones, that we will talk about the future, talk about what will happen when the lockdown is over. Again, with the small child who doesn't speak properly or who is not able to verbally communicate with you, use play as a tool of communication and explaining. You can actually set up again a play about going back to nursery. Sarah was saying, pack the bags ready. You can play this game that today we are going to nursery, what you will have as a lunch. Let's pack your bags. Who are the friends we are going to meet? And so on and so forth. Or with the even smaller children, read the books. Read about nurseries. There is books about the first day in a nursery type of with the type of the title. You may do that all and prepare the child already a couple of weeks before going back to the nursery. Most importantly, build up confidence, not fear. The previous speakers were talking about the anxiety, and like I said, a child who is not able to communicate verbally yet, the anxiety is actually the reflection of what they see in their parents. And if they see their parents' facial expressions being anxious, or if the tone of the voices are harsh, or if there's a lot of argument because of the distress, it will build a fear that something is happening because they do not understand the reality, and in reality, they are safe. So when we are mentally preparing the children to go back to the new normal, we need to transfer the new nursery routines into practice at home. Teach what the nursery is going to be when they go back there. It is a little bit different. There is smaller groups. There is teachers who are wearing a protective gear, or they are wearing masks. Washing hands, you can start, and I'm sure you needed to start it already at homes. Wash hands regularly before eating, after going out or to your garden. Wash hands and explain why do we wash hands. It is also important to let the children learn their more and more independency. in a nursery, we are trying to maintain the distance between the teachers and the children, but of course, we are there to help the children. But the more independent the child is, the more she's able to maintain her own distance from other children as well. So, for example, teach more and more the children to eat independently. I'm talking about children who are 2.5, 3 years old. They can learn already how to use the spoon or the fork, how to open things, and how to maintain their hygiene. Tidying up after them, this is a nursery routine. Please maintain that at home as well. When you play with your child, it is a tidy up time. The children need to tidy up after themselves. And also how to look after your own toys. Now, in a nursery settings, we need to be more careful of sharing toys. We do not want to teach the children that we don't share, but we try to make sure that the children are more playing with their own toys and looking after, like I said, tidying up, putting them back to places. In the end, in the nurseries, the safety of the children is adults' responsibility, and the children are just helping us to do our work. So we do not want to scare the children. We don't want to make anything too overwhelming for them, and we don't want to allow the children to think that they are somehow overloaded with new tasks. And that's why it is important that we already at homes, we do the certain routines, what we will be doing in the nurseries as well. That's basically my part. If you have any further questions, I'm more than happy to answer you. And other than that, I'm thanking you for this opportunity to talk to you about the impact of the lockdown.
All right, thank you, Sari. So we have one question with us: how to encourage students to follow SOPs and other precautions? And I think you've already answered, this, but still, we would like you to throw some light on this.
So I must say that when we are talking about the children who are 0 to 4 years old, it is this is our responsibility. We are the ones who are making sure that we have less children in the classrooms now. We are making sure that we are washing their hands as often as possible, as well as making sure that we are washing our hands. And then the distancing between the children, I must say that it will be almost impossible. The children do need to play with each other, but what we will do is that we make sure that we don't share with the toys, and we will make sure that the toys are disinfected regularly every day, and any time a child has been played with toys, we will actually disinfect them. So as said, it is our adults' responsibility. We cannot expect a child who is below 4 years old to even remember all these precautions.
I totally agree with you. And I think here comes the role of the parents and the school. And let me share this, that we at the city school are 100% prepared, and we are following the SOP strictly. And I wish not just the city school, but all the schools across the globe a great start during COVID-19, because these are the common problems across the world. So thank you so much, Sari, for being on board. It was our pleasure and honor to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so next we have Nimra Sattar, who is a doctor and a certified telemedicine facilitator, who currently works as an educator at Little Medical School of Pakistan. When not inspiring future health professionals, she can be seen spending her time baking and chasing sunsets. Let's watch a short message from her.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nimra. I am a doctor who's currently working as an educator at Little Medical School of Pakistan. I'm here today to hopefully ease some of the concerns and fears you might be having as parents, as teachers, as we enter a new school year. 2020 has been quite a year for all of us. The pandemic hit us all out of the blue. We were not expecting to be still in a lockdown phase 6 months for over 6 months, yet here we are. Children, parents, teachers, every member of this society has been affected by the pandemic in basically every aspect of their lives. Thus, these challenging times, they require that we come together as a society and brave the storm together and move towards a more healthier future. There's nothing we cannot accomplish by working together. By showing courage in the face of adversity, we can ease into the new normal that exists around us right now. The post-pandemic world will definitely need some time to adjust to. So it is important that as schools do get back to the normal routine, it is important that we continue to follow the SOPs that have been laid out since the start. Remind yourself, remind your children to wear a mask when they are outside, to maintain a distance of 6 feet or 2 meters from everyone, to sneeze or cough in their elbows, not in their hands, and try to implement a proper hand washing technique at home so they can continue with it when they come to school. Remember to watch out for flu-like symptoms in your child. If they do exhibit these symptoms, please make sure they remain at home and don't go to school. And most importantly, please remember to breathe. That is the most important part in all of this. The City School will be following all these SOPs as they prepare to welcome all of you back. However, their efforts are meaningless without your support. Remember, you are not alone. We are all in this together. While the future might seem uncertain at the moment, it is important that we don't give in to fear. Let's remember to do our best every day and become a better and a healthier society. Stay safe and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nimra. Education is a shared commitment between dedicated teachers, motivated students, and enthusiastic parents with high expectations. We cannot deny the role of positive interaction, and here comes the role of a strengthened home-school partnership. We believe in academic excellence, but dear parents, it is only possible with your continuous support. We hope that today's session has benefited you all and you have taken a few good strategies that will guide you to continue to be our strongest pillars of support.
Signing off with a small prayer from us, followed by a lovely nazam by our students from class 2. Together, we may give our children to the roots to grow and the wings to fly. Stay blessed and goodbye.
Once again, thank you so much to all our lovely guests. Allah Hafiz. Have a great evening. Thank you.